It was supposed to be the landmark Grand Prix under the Liberty Media reign, the most anticipated new Grand Prix on the calendar and a forerunner to the future of the sport. Miami had to be a success. But was it? As a purist, the only thing I really want to see is hard racing. So was the Miami Grand Prix offering all we Formula One fans needed? Let's dive in. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't like to see racing on a parking lot other than my 5-year-old nephew on his Scalzo. So when they told us the Miami Grand Prix would be on the concrete oasis of the Hard Rock Stadium, I thought, yeah. Credit is due to the organizers who turned the site into a festival terrain that nearly felt like a real track. Although by far most of the trackside venues were filled with people in pools eating their sponsored buffets and showing off their lousy taste in sunglasses, I actually did see some real racing fans as well, and that filled me with a glimmer of joy. It never got to that real rubber and grease motorhome and sausages filled with motor oil all-American Cota vibe. It was all a bit too greasy with sun oil, but the overall vibe was pretty cool and I liked it. And with a couple of small changes to the layout, I think even the track could be kind of attractive as well. And please go fix that tarmac, guys. Like Sergio Perez said, this was a joke. So yeah, 7 out of 10 points for the venue. Now, before this race I made a video about the layout of this track, and I hate to say I told you so, but it was always gonna be a boring race. The Miami Autodrome has a boring layout with predictable corners and braking zones. The result therefore was pretty predictable, a race defined by DRS overtakes and a late safety car to save the day. Now let me analyze why. Long straights ending with hard braking zones is racing 101. Narrow and twisting corners are only fun if there's just enough runoff and the possibility to go side by side at least at some points of the corners. Unpredictability in cornering and the possibility of different racing lines are essential to a good track layout, and that's exactly what was lacking in Miami. There was only one racing line and the overtakes were by design only and not by driver skill. And finally, there's this one thing that makes every track better: grass and gravel. So, rating for the track, 3 out of 10, max. Now, the first moments of the race, all was fine. Crowds on track, exhausted drivers, sweaty pit crews, exactly what you want to see after a race. But then it all went sideways. First of all, we got the all-time hero and punch-happy man with the name that made me hungry for spare ribs, Mr. Willie T. Ribs. A driving legend, definitely, but maybe not a born interviewer. He called everyone baby and called an instant legendary quote by calling the #1 Ferrari driver Chuck Leclerc. Remember that one, Chuck Leclerc. He held his sunglasses casually in his hand during the post-race interviews and forgot to actually point the mic into the direction of the guy he interviewed. And maybe ask some questions about the race as well, instead of, well, bragging about the fact that you met Muhammad Ali, which is fine, fun, but after the race, after the cameras are off, right? Then Max Verstappen needed to be transported to the podium sequence, which for some reason was pretty far from the finish line anyway. And even with a stunningly useless police escort, they had to maneuver through traffic. Now, how the hell is that possible? Who thinks up this stuff? And finally, they thought it would be fun to get into the podium with football helmets, which, in my opinion, just make the drivers look like clowns. But come on, these guys have just delivered a massive performance. They've lost 3 kilos in a 3-hour race. And then they have to walk onto the podium like a clown. What's the next thing? Sombreros at the Mexican Grand Prix? Or did we already have those? Did we? Now I think they deserve their time showering in champagne and not looking like clowns. So what do you think about the helmets? What do you think about the entire after race stuff? Please do let me know in the comments. And now let's go back to the video. Now, I don't think I've ever seen anything as fake as that marina on that Miami parking lot. There's nothing that screams wannabe as loudly as a cardboard water just to give a place some Monaco ambiance. Now that's so techy, it makes a rotating restaurant looks cool. Which otherworldly, uninspired designer thought this would actually work? Honestly, that fake marina is the worst idea since racing on a hay fork shaped parking lot. They did that in America as well? Oh, jeez. And talking about uninspired Monaco copy stuff, please never ever build a swimming pool next to a racetrack again. If you want to show up your abs, please, there is definitely some space for you on Tinder, but not next to the racing track, okay? Please, just... Now, before you think I'm an uninspired, grumpy old conservative just coming down from his attic to tell people how bad racing is, I have to say one thing to the Miami Grand Prix, and that is thank you for the great show around it. Thank you for bringing this iconic city to the Formula One calendar, because it did look good. I also want to point out the twisty motordrome filled with fans and great racing atmosphere. But there were just too many downsides about this track to be completely positive about it. I want to see gravel, grass, walls of champions, balls twisting, screw driving, rolling tracks with treacherous and dangerous and smart twists. I want to see oil instead of sun oil. I want to see racing instead of designed overtakes. I want to see Formula One. So please, Miami, you did very well, but we expect better next time. So, what do you think? Did you like the Grand Prix? Please do let me know in the comments, and see you next time.